we are rolling. I've lost the books, I don't know where they are. Friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sarah from Ink and Hue Colouring. Today we are back, part 3 of our Onyx page using mixed pencils in Christine Karron's Wondrous Folk. So the last 2 videos we have been focusing on colouring the skin and then colouring the hair, all with different pencil brands. If you haven't watched those 2, I highly recommend going to check those out because they really will give context as to why we're doing this. So today we're going to focus on the clothing. And if we get time, we might even do the background. If we get time, we will see. I don't really want to drag the videos on too long. I know we can always pause them and come back to them, but we shall see. So what I'm thinking for the clothing today is a lot of burnt yellows, burnt oranges, and browns. So I'm either thinking of gold watercolor or paint pens, but we will see what the vibe is when we get to it. So we're going to start with the clothing. So I think this item of clothing is actually really good to work with because there's really not a huge amount of folds and stuff in it. You know, sometimes you can get to a colouring page and you've got to colour the clothes and it's a dress and there's huge folds in the dress, or there's a coat and it can just feel a little bit overwhelming. The good thing about this is it's nice entry level, it's nice and flat. There are some patterns in it, but we won't let that deter us at all. Okay, so as the series title Mixed Brands implies, I'm using mixed brands today. So I'm going to go through our colours for the, let's do the clothing first because I feel like that's going to set the tone of what we're going to do with the jewelry. So I have a selection of pencils that I have chosen from, and I didn't plan this, but most of them are Polychromos bar a Prismacolor. I do have other ones on hand for other elements. So Naples Yellow 185, that's in the Polychromos, and the rest of what I show you are in the Polychromos as well. Again, if you don't have Polychromos or any of the brands in this series, don't worry, you can just color match. That's kind of the whole point of using mixed brands. And then light yellow ochre, which is 183. That's a very dusty dark yellow. Sanguine 188. It's a very reddy, terracotta-y kind of orange. Burnt sienna 283. Terracotta 186. Brown ochre 182. Burnt ochre 187. And dark Naples ochre 184. So even though that did seem like a whole stack of pencils, the way that I kind of pick them is I just grab anything that seems to suit the vibe or the color scheme that I'm going for, and then I just make it up. Sometimes I use set color combinations for metals and things like that, but other than that, I really just go for the colors that are calling to me at the time. To me, it really helps my creative process when I do it that way. Alrighty, so the first color I'm going to go in with is Naples Yellow 185. This is a very light kind of burnt yellow color. It's not like those really bright lemon yellows. It's got a little bit of brown to it, a bit more earthy. So I'm actually just I'm gonna give everything a bit of a wash because I kind of want this tone to be throughout the patterns. I'm not really doing solid patterns. They'll be different, but it's not going to be like 2 opposing colors. I'm just, again, you probably heard me say this a lot, but I'm just holding my pencil further back. Because that helps me not press too hard. Hopefully you can see this. Oh yeah, it's coming up. A little bit. Sometimes when you just do light layers, they don't really show up on camera all that well. which is annoying to start with. So just scumbling there so you can see my pencil's not going back and forth, it's going kind of around and around. And see, I've got my pencil on more of a side. It's not like that, it's to the side. Using an even amount of pressure just to cover over everything. I get so impatient with this bit. There are weird sounds going out on outside. Bit of that, just even it up a little bit. Missed a bit there. This side. Right, that'll do, donkey. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do, so in these lighter patterns, it's mostly going to be yellow. I'll throw in a little bit of orange as well, and then we'll have the darker colors where the darker shading is and has been already supplied by Christine. So next, I'm just going to start to build up some color and just play with it. I don't really have an order. I'm just going to go with this light yellow ochre next. So that is 183. And I'm just going to start playing around with it. Just going to start bringing it out a little bit. Still consider this a fairly light color in terms of my little selection over there. Just going to keep adding layers until I kind of get something that I like the look of. Bring that in. Definitely going to go over the grayed out areas because they do need to be done. Bit of that down here, like so. So if you don't have the Polychromos, just grab a darker yellow. You might even want to use a very bright sun yellow or an orange yellow or like a lemon yellow rather than more muted ones, rather than more browny looking ones. It's really up to you. Use whatever you like. But I really enjoy just sitting here and layering and throwing different colors in. Of late, I find that I get very curious with my colors, which is probably why I really don't do set combinations anymore unless it's for a specific purpose. For example, I might be colouring with yellows, and then I all of a sudden might think, oh gosh, I wonder what it'd look like with a bit of orange thrown in over, or just in bits. And so I'll start having a play with it, and you can really start to see if it's going to work or not. You should be able to tell. Well, I can usually tell pretty early on if it's going to be great or if it's going to look horrible, and then I can just change it quickly. And hopefully it's not noticeable, but I'm really enjoying just playing around with different colors and just seeing how they go. I think I do, yeah, like I was saying at the start, I do use set color combinations for metals and things like that. I think that's a given, because you're after a very nuanced tone. And skin tones, yes, color combination too, but I always, with skin, yeah, I will have a loose set one, but then I'll add to it if I feel like it needs something else, which it more often does, because it can be really hard to tell sometimes when it's going to work. Oh, I just covered in a, was that a, don't know. Couldn't tell if that was one of a darker bit or not. So see how we're building up some shadows already? We're building up some depth. Clothing is one of those things that, yeah, does have a lot of folds in it usually. So this is easier because it's quite flat, but still, I'm not going to color it like it's completely flat. We are going to have a bit of depth to it, a bit of shadow to it. So there is some slight fabric folds, but it's not, like I was saying at the start, it's not like we're doing a dress with like many folds. So if you're looking to start coloring clothing, maybe find something like a t-shirt or something like that. And I've picked the golden rod in the Prismacolor because I really like that color, and you can use your oil and your wax-based pencils together, which again is the whole point, one of the main points of this series. Bit of that. You could probably just going to bring this out further because it's kind of hidden under a bit of shading, so we can make it darker. Patterns everywhere. Just trying to figure out what's what. Right, like so. I'm just using medium pressure. And as you can see, I'm not coloring, each section isn't a complete wash of color to the same degree. I'm kind of just going a little bit harder in the corners and just lightening off as I go in, just to create some depth. See how it's starting to look curved? Even if it's subtle, subtlety can make the biggest difference sometimes. Sometimes subtlety is all you need. It might be all you're going for as well. You might not want to do 50 million layers. Bit down there. So yeah, going back to color combinations, I have people ask me if I do them. I don't. Like I was saying in the last video, because there are a lot of channels that already do them and they do them so well and they're just the absolute boss at it. So I think just all the kudos to them for that. Let me know in the comments, do you love a preset color combination or do you just like to go in and wing it? I think it can definitely be like a personality thing as well. Everyone's different and I love it. So I'm just going over some of those same areas in the corners just to bring out some shade. Okay, I'm going to start to go in with the goldenrod, which is PC 1034. This is Prismacolor. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to go over it. I'm just going to start to deepen it up even more. Going back to the corners again. All right, so see how this goldenrod's just starting to change the overall tone and the overall color of everything. So often it's not necessarily about and you would have heard me say this before, so I apologize if I'm just saying this like a broken record, but it's not always about the individual colors themselves. It's how they work together and the little relationship that they start to form and how you can really just make that work for whatever you're coloring. It's just something that I like to do. It's not necessarily right for everyone because often you just want to do some coloring and not really think about all that stuff, which is totally fine. Oh, I'm thinking we could, I'm just looking at these outlines. I'm thinking, and here too, we could really get some gold gel pen and go to town on that, hey? And what I'm doing really applies to any object. It doesn't just have to be clothes. So I'm just focusing on bringing the shading out from the edges and inward, bringing the shading inward because it creates a shape of what we're coloring. Even if I give you an example, I'm just looking at her necklace. See this necklace here that my thumb's on? See how the orbs, the circly things, the beads, see how with the shading, see how it's around the outside and it's making it look round. Same with the rectangle pieces as well. Cylinders, whatever, you know what it is. By applying that shading, It's gone from looking just like a flat shape to rounded. So you can really apply that theory to your own coloring pages as well. So this can apply to leaves, flowers, all sorts. You could even just, if you wanted to practice your shading, just grab a piece of paper and just draw random shapes and see if you can make them rounded, if they're spheres or cylinders. See if you can make them more dimensional. Just have a play. You could use some reference photos if you need to. Go outside and look at stuff. I could even make a video on it. We'll see. What is that? I don't know if that's part of that or that. It's like different. Okay. I'm just making, again, I'm making this darker because it's kind of tucked behind hair and it's not as close. See how this piece of the clothing is lighter because it's closer to us, whereas this is going to be a little bit darker because it's kind of tucked behind the hair. It's back a little bit. She's kind of on a bit of an angle. She's not looking at us straight on. Her face is, but her body isn't. So I'm just making this a little bit darker because it's further away and tucked behind hair. So we can just darken that up a little bit. And also don't worry too if I'm telling you things and you're like, how am I going to remember that? It'll just become muscle memory the more you practice. And just practice shading things. So don't, like I was saying, you could just get a piece of paper and draw some shapes if you're not wanting to try it in your colouring books just yet. Play around with it. And eventually it does become muscle memory and you'll think about it less. So, yeah. I want to do a bit more down there. Down in the armpit. Oh, missed a bit. Gonna go over that with other colours too. Oops, the daisies. There's a little bit there too. And a little bit on the hem. Okay, so as I sit back and adjust, I'm thinking, all right, it is looking pale a little bit still. I would like to bring in some more yellow. So I'm gonna bring in the dark Naples ochre, which is 184. I can't remember if I've used this yet. I don't think I have. I used the Naples yellow. This is the dark Naples ochre. Yes, okay. So I'm just adjusting as I go. Just really looking at stuff and going, oh, it's too light, going to add some more yellow. And the good thing about layering is you can just keep adding colours. So I'm going over and bringing this color out further than the goldenrod. So I really just want to just start to bring some more yellow through it. It's looking a little bit too light, but that is all part of it because it is easier to add than to take away. Just continuing this in each section. Might even go over it a couple of times in this color. Alrighty, I am thinking I would like to add a little bit of orange-ish now. So I'm going to go in with the terracotta, which is a very orangey brown, and that is 186. And I'm just going to play around with it and see what we get. Probably just really put it in the shadows here, the edges. I'm liking it, so I'm going to keep going. Really get into that corner. There is darker shading there, so give it a bit more oomph. We're just using medium pressure with this, I would say. Nothing too drastic. And I reckon, I'm just looking at the other portions of the pattern that are uncolored. I'm also reckoning I'm going to use this terracotta that I have as almost another base layer over what we already have done with that other yellow color. For example, just want you to see it. So if we start going in like so, and you can even just define this seam a little bit more. Now I've done that because to me, this panel of clothing almost looks like it's sitting above this, and it looks like it's puffed out just a little bit. So we've got the shadow here to really emphasize that join and the fact that this is overlapping that. If there was no seam there, I probably wouldn't do it unless it was really obviously needing it. What am I doing? This one. So it's like going back to the yellow. I'm just going to bring a bit just around the edges too. Just for a bit of something, something, bit of shade. Changing the direction of my pencil a lot because the shapes are a little bit awkward. Sometimes you just need to change the angle of your hand a little bit. Oh, I wonder if it's like, maybe we could make it like a third shade or something. Maybe. I don't know why I'm doing that. It just feels fancy. You know, when you start to do things and you're like, why am I doing this? I mean, it looks fine. I think because Christine's pencil strokes, I can see them. So I'm like, oh, well, I've got to follow that. Yeah, why not? I'm pretty much just doing the same thing that I've done in terms of the shading and how intense the pencil is here compared to there, but I'm just using a different technique. I'm just flicking it. I probably won't do it here. Sometimes you can as well, even though I'm colouring individual shapes with this pencil, I'm just like shading over everything as well, just for a bit of, just to start to build up a bit of depth too. So you can shade little bits and then you can also shade the whole thing. So you can look at this for the leaves and then you can look at this for the forest. If that makes sense. I do have the background colours sitting in front of me, just in case I do it today. I have a feeling that I might not. Oh dear. It's funny how long things take and you think they're going to be quick, but they're actually not. So I'm going to go for a lot of, I've got teals and turquoises in front of me, which I think will look really, it'll contrast really nicely against the colours that we've got going already. So all right, slightly harder pressure down here because I've got, it's darker. Just with what Karron's done, I'll definitely be adding darker pencils on top of this as well. This part is under a fair bit of hair too, so shading. Again, some really awkward triangles. I can't remember what colour I used. I don't know if I used this colour in the skin, but it's almost like this part of the top is like these patterns here are translucent and it's like there's just this bit of like, I don't know, tulle or something or whatever. And that's see-through, and then you've got the actual fabric. I mean, we could, but I don't know. There's this situation which I wouldn't want to necessarily draw. I was even thinking of that when I was colouring the skin here, that this part could have been like a sheer fabric as well. There's loads of different ways you can colour it. You could even go ahead and do some sheer fabric in here if you wanted to. The world's your oyster. Nothing's stopping you. If you wanted to, you would just use a few layers of the colours that you used in the skin tone, and then you could just burnish it with white. And that'd give off that effect. I should do that one day. I just don't feel like I want to do it with this particularly. Yeah. Okay, let's go in with darker brown. I'm going to go straight for the jugular and go in with the burnt sienna 283 in the Polychromos, which, yeah, yep, that's a Polychromos. Hopefully they're recognisable by now. I'll just grab a brown. Grab a brown, she'll be right. Whoop. Bit too harsh there with me lines. Oh well. It's the only thing about working with oil pencils sometimes. You rotate your pencil, you just get a really hard bit and you like scratch it on the paper. Oops. Just gonna outline a little bit because I feel like I could begin to lose that pattern. Oh yeah, now we're getting somewhere. Ah, precision. That's why I like these. You can just really get some crisp lines going. These two. Although I probably will do that in. Will I? No, I was going to say do the outline in gel pen, but I think I'm only going to do the outlines of the patterns. But who knows? I change my mind all the time. Haha. Just going to outline this, I reckon, before I go in. Again, because I feel like I'm just losing a bit of that shape. Looks a bit messy there, but I'll fix that up. Sometimes you do stuff and you're like, what have I done? Why is that messy? It can just be like the angle of your hand, the angle of the book, the angle of the illustration. It can be off a whole number of reasons. But don't worry about it. I've just left a little bit of a lighter spot there just for some bit of depth, bit of something, bit of contrast. Again, I'm just gonna bring this over everything and just shade a little bit, especially down here too. Don't be afraid to add shading in, just go lightly. It can make the world of difference. Sometimes we can be a bit too scared to add dark colors like blacks, grays, because we worry that it's just going to darken everything up. But believe me, it actually needs it sometimes. And things that we color, even like pictures and things like that, that we look at, there's actually a lot more darker colors in there than we realize. Just going to make these the one shape, I reckon. Darken that part up a bit too. Let's just bring this colour in that seam too. Yeah. Lighten up a bit. I'm really feeling, as I'm looking at this, I want to bring that goldenrod out again and just go over this darker pattern with it and smush it all together. Feeling like that's the direction I want to take it in. So add a little bit of shading down here. It's darkening up the corners as well. Probably going to go through with this brown and do a lot of structural shading as well, I reckon. But I'll just see how all this is going. All right, so I'm just going to go over, it's going to go really lightly. This whole panel, this is going to get a wash of all of that. Oh, see, I forgot a bit there with me shades. You're probably staring at that being like, hey, you missed a bit. I'm not talking about that bit, I'm talking about this bit here. Probably like, oi, you missed a bit. Hello? Hello, McFly. give it a brush off. Especially around this part here. All right, so let's go in with this goldenrod, which is 1034. And I'm actually just going to start in an inconspicuous spot. So I'm going to start here and I'm just pressing a little bit harder. I'm just going to mush it all together. Yeah, I like that. Probably a medium to hard pressure, not too hard, because otherwise you just squish everything too much. And I do want to go over the top and just do a little bit of shading as well. I don't want to completely close the gate. In terms of the tooth of the paper, yes, that is the tone I was looking for. That is nice. I like it. Yay. I love it when a plan comes together. Or like a no plan that turns into a plan that becomes good. Might just leave a little bit of a gap in the middle there so I can add another colour in as a lightest colour, because there is quite a lot of light up here, especially just around this section. I'm really just doing now on the shoulder parts, I'm really just doing a solid color. I am mostly burnishing it. Mostly. A bit there. I always forget these little bits. Okay. Oh, wait. This will be here. Right, now I am thinking of, with the lighter part, I think I'm really liking how light that's looking. So I'm probably just going to go ahead and burnish it with a bit of cream. And I'm just going to use the Prismacolor 914, that is cream. My little tiny pencils. Again, I'm just going to do a tiny section over here just to make sure that's the vibe. Yep. You don't have to burnish with Prismacolor if you don't want. It could be any brand that you have that you like to burnish with. You don't even have to burnish with pencil. You could use any odorless mineral spirits or like a blender pencil. I've just chosen the cream because I just wanted to darken it up just a little bit, like the tiniest bit. I don't want to lose the shadows, or the contrast I should say. I don't want to lose the contrast between the sides and the middle. That's what I think makes it look nice. But I wanted a bit of something. All right, I think that is majority of the clothing done. Now we can move on to the accessories. Now I probably will outline everything in gel pen. However, I'm not going to do that now because I'm working on this. I'm just going to smudge it, even if I let it dry. I will tend to leave that to the end. All right, so for the accessories, I am thinking black and gold, and then I want the jewel in the middle to be teal to match the background. So I'm thinking if I get a little pointer, I want to do these beads here. I will probably have those in either gel pen or metallic paint, and I will use a very fine brush for that, which is the Derwent one that I have. That's just very fine tip. And then I'll probably go through with pencil, black there, gold. These will be gold. These two could be black, and then gold clips. So we're going to do all of that. And yes, definitely not enough time for the background today. What was I thinking? Lol. Okay. Right, so I'm going to do a very light gold today. And this color combination that I have, I found it on Pinterest. The thing with Pinterest is that so many people like and share the same image. So I don't actually know who the original creator of this is. I don't know. So I found it. So thank you. It is from Pinterest. The first color I'm going to use is Cream from Prismacolor 914. Jasmine from Prismacolor PC 1012. Yellow Ochre PC 942. Artichoke PC 1098. Chocolate 1082. I don't really like this pencil at all. I just don't like the formula. So I do have the dupe on standby, the Brown Earth, which in the Derwent Colorsoft, which to me is like a really close match. So I'm just going to try and see how it goes. So it's pretty much just going to be the same technique as what I've done with the clothing, really. So I'm going to start off with a light wash of cream. We'll do the earrings. So just lightly, you're probably not going to see this. I apologize. Light wash of that. And yeah, I might add in more colors if I feel like I want to adjust the tone of it at all. All right, now I'm going to go in with the Jasmine 1012 Prismacolor. And I'm just going to start layering up the same way. So this is going to cover most of it. You don't have to make these gold. If you wanted to, you could even make these into like big resin earrings and make them red or something, or whatever other color is standing out to you. When I was researching African jewelry and a lot of gold came up and I was like, oh, dang, I got to do that. That's just what spoke to me the most. And I think considering that I'm doing a teal background, like a dark teal and turquoise background, I figure this is going to contrast against that as well. So why not do the gold? Go for gold, guys. Go for gold. over it a bit more. I think a lot of us can freak out when we colour metal. I mean, I have and I still do at some point, depending on what combination it is. But often, if you're someone that layers your pencils anyway, it's the same thing. Right, going in with yellow, ochre and Prismacolor 942. And just going to go over it, but mainly just focus on probably like just going past the shadow areas. So not as far as I took the jasmine color. I might bring it out a bit further if I do another lap. We'll see. I'll just adjust this bit here. Sometimes one earring can look a bit darker than the other, so you just got to tweak it. Right, now going in with artichoke, 1098. I really like artichoke in gold combinations. It really just binds all the colours together. It's nice. I think artichoke is one of the colours that I will keep buying in the Prisma. There's a few colours that I will not. The artichoke is one of them. It's a really good colour. Unless I can find a replica, we'll see. I don't know, but yeah, I think I'm going to keep it in my stash. So I'm just following the shadow lines. And I'm trying not to bring it out as far as the previous colour. Backing off yet again. All right, so I'm going to try this brown earth first. See how it goes in the Derwent Colorsoft. These are wax-based pencil too. I think from my research, the closest to Prismacolor in the Derwent range is the Pro Color and then the Chroma Flows. I really like the Colorsoft too. I like all of it. I like all the Derwent stuff. I think I'm becoming a Derwent girly and a Polychromos Albrecht Dürer person. All right, I'm just primarily going to focus on the shadow areas here. I don't know if you can notice this, but I feel like I need to add in some goldenrod. I feel like it's missing a little bit of something. Just need to warm it up a little bit. Let's try it. Let's add in golden rod, PC 1034. And because this is like a kind of mid color, I'm just gonna not bring it out all the way, but just a little bit. Maybe about half. Cover over the darker areas. Yeah. Yeah, no, good decision. To me, it's changing the tone of it, which is what I want, which is good. It's good. All right. I'm just going to go in with the Jasmine a little bit more, so 1012 in the Prismacolor. Yeah, primarily for metals, I like using a wax-based pencil. I have used oil-based before, and it works pretty well. Or it does work well. This is just what I'm used to. And I like doing it this way. So, yeah. There you go. Okay. Now I'm going back to the cream, which is PC 914 in the Prisma. And we're just going to burnish that up. Lovely. All right, now for some black. I'm going to go in with the Polychromos black, which is 199. I really like the Polychromos black. Just going to bring up a bit of... I'm not colouring all of it. I'm just going to do an outline. Medium pressure to light. I will, because I still want it to look a bit reflective as well. I want it to look shiny. This part here, I can have a little bit of shine. I'll just left a little bit of a gap. Oh, I completely forgot over there. A little bit of a gap there that I can go over with some white, just for a bit of shine. Okay, now I'm going to grab my white pencil. And that is the Chinese white in the Derwent drawing favourite. I need to get more of these. I love this one so much. And I'm just going to go over the highlights and go over the black area as well. So just doing a bit of a line here. I'm still maintaining the integrity of the lines I left. See how it looks shiny? Bit over as well. And a bit of that. Okay. Them's the earrings. Now I'm going to work our way down. I'm going to go back to the black. Back in black. 199. And I'm going to do these spaces in between. Now, the jury's out on whether these spaces could have been clear, had nothing in them, and you could just use the skin color. However, at the back, there seems to be like a little bit of a joined. So to me, I'm like, oh, I think they're colored. I think it's solid. And that's what I'm going to do. But if you like the look of having the beads separated with skin underneath, and do that. So it's detail work, but I'm just going to do the same thing like I was doing with the earrings. Just leave little gaps for the white pencil because I kind of want it to look a little bit shiny. And it is fiddly. And some, as we get around the corner here, some are just going to be, you're just going to fill it in because it's tiny. And if you can't get it exact, don't worry about it. Just go for, aim for like a loose representation. Do you remember in like the 2010 to 2014 era when statement necklaces like these were like the thing? I had so many of them, and I think I've still got a few. My gosh, I'm looking at this and I think I would prefer a collar like this, because if it was just beading without the collar, that'd just pull on your skin. It'd get caught so much in your clothing and everything. These necklaces and peplum tops, skinny jeans, and really, really razor sharp high heels. Hilarious. Wouldn't not do that today, I can tell you that. I don't wear heels. I hang around in Birkenstocks because I am all about, I'm built for comfort, not for speed. If you're having trouble getting in all the little details, just make sure your pencil's nice and sharp too. That can help. Oh man, here we go. Like, I cannot see where we are. These ones are a little bit smaller, so it can be a little bit harder to maintain a little gap. Just do your best. If you don't, doesn't matter. Oh no, I'm all right. We're going cross-eyed. I'm gonna go from up here. Oh, I feel like I'm just butchering this bit, but whatever, I'm going to go over it. Okay. Thank the Lord. Right. Back in with the Chinese white. Drawing. Oh. Press that too hard. Doesn't break as much as the Prismacolor one. Still does it if you press too hard. Okay. Let's do the jewel. Because I'm actually just going to use some of the colors that are, I'm just going to actually use the watercolors dry. So first what I'm probably going to do is just go in with the black, the 199, and I'm just going to go over the black areas, the very, very dark areas. Just enhance that a little bit. Next, I'm going to go in with the green aquamarine from the Derwent Inktense. So I will use this for the background. But I'm just going to go in over second darkest areas. Follow it around. Again, I love that we've got the grayscale because jewels are hard. It's something that I can do some, but doing rounded ones is hard because there's bits in there. Okay, the next one, Mallard Green in the Derwent Inktense. Again, I'm just utilizing the colors that I'm going to be using for the background. I'm going to bring that out again. Make it look all pretty. Teal green of the Derwent Inktense again. You don't have to use watercolor, just use any pencils. Find your teals, find your peacock greens. Just for a bit of that. Over it, I will go over the whole thing in white, I reckon. So and I'm going to give a final pass over of, this is the Albrecht Dürer's, the Chrome Oxide Green Fiery 276. Again, Albrecht Dürer's, I love these. These actually are really good dry too. If you don't have either Polychromos or the Albrecht Dürer's, just get the Albrecht Dürer's because then you can do both. They work really well. And they're the same. If you didn't know that already. Oh, this is nice. Yeah, this is bringing a really nice green in it. Oh yeah, look at that. Yes, the Albrecht Dürer's and the Polychromos are the same colors, same color names, which I think is just genius. I love it. Oh yeah, this is bringing a nice green in it. I really like teals and greens and turquoises all combined together. I love the color shift. Let me just, I don't know if you can see that color shift. You probably can't, but I can. And it's amazing. So the background's going to be that. So it's a hint of what's to come. Right, now I'm going to go back in with the Chinese white. And I'm just going to do the lightest areas. Who am I? I'm kidding, I'll just do the whole thing. Lighten up a bit. Oh, pretty, look at that. Oh yes, I like it. Okay, so we'll put those away for the background. All right, for these tiny little beads, I'm probably going to use, I have a gold in a really cheap set. Probably just going to use that. This is like, yeah, 13 bucks on Amazon. It's cheap as, so. And then I do have on hand as well, just in case I change my mind. I've got this set from CSY. This is part of their mini tin box. little colours. I was thinking this one here might be cool somewhere. Maybe as part of a background. And definitely, I do want to use this one that I received from a lovely subscriber last week as well. This is CSY2, and we've got heaps of colours. I'm thinking some of these teals might be really nice for the background. I do want to include watercolour paints in the watercolour background. So, so excited for that. But we'll do this gold first. So going back to the same combination that we used for the earrings. So that's cream 914. Oh, and a little clips as well on her hair will probably, they're not clips, what are they? I'm not quite sure. They're clippy things or little spaces. I'll do those gold as well. So again, this is the cream just going over light wash. We're just going to do exactly the same thing. Pretty much today's colour application techniques have pretty much all been the same, which is cool. Layering, which is what I generally do these days as well. Okay, jasmine. And it'll be most of it. Just following the shapes around. You can just do some rough mapping of this colour. It's just a rough application. You don't have to worry too much about precision. That probably more comes later with your darker colours. Okay, yellow ochre, same thing. Over we go. Probably just, again, backing off a little bit in terms of the area that I colour. Not too much, but a little bit. Another option for this is you could, rather than make each portion gold, you could change up the colours if you wanted to. You could make the spheres black if you want. You could even do, you could do reds, you could do whatever colour you like. Quite concerned that I have to pause and think about what shape it is. I'm like, sphere or cylinder? Did I retain anything I learned from school? All right, golden rod, because I decided that's what I wanted to add in. PC 1034. Just a little bit, just changes the tone of it just a smidge. It was just needed a bit of something, something. I think it's more so just because of what else is on the page. It wasn't necessarily anything to do with the combination itself alone. So yeah, hence why sometimes you might need to change your colors up a little bit, because yeah, color harmony, relationships with other things, yada yada. Oh, you could leave that white too. It looks quite nice. If you had more white in her top, like say if you were doing like a red, black and white theme, you could leave that. Yeah, lots of things you could do. Alrighty, let's go in with artichoke, 1098. I'm going to focus on the shadow areas. And a little bit over. Just a tiny bit. I think because, yeah, the brown will be strictly the shadow. Methinks. Okay, now I'm going to go over with the Brown Earth C630. You can use the chocolate in the Prismacolor if you don't have. Should have said that before. To me, they're the same. Or they're as close as they're pretty close. So yeah, I just don't like the way that it's too waxy for me. It's just that particular one. Just, yeah, some of them just don't know. Just in the darkest spots. Okay, let's go back in with our cream. 914 Prismacolor, or any cream that you have. And blend her out. All right, now let's do some watercolor. I'll do some on we'll do the hair first. So what I generally like to do is just activate these first with water and just let it sit for a little bit so that it can just soak up a bit of water. Some people, it's up to you how you like to do it. A lot of people will spray with a little bit of water first and just let it sit. I just like to give it a couple of drops. Whoosh that around. This is from my water brush pen, the Arteza one. I've just given it a couple of drops and I'm just going to let that sit for a bit. Right, and now, after I've let that sit, just mush it around a little bit. Again, it doesn't need a whole lot of water. Get a bit on the brush. Now I do have a cloth as well. I just will use it a little bit, and I'm just going to start by just painting over it really. And you just get it, you just get like a good dip in again. Good coating. Sometimes you could do a couple of coats if you want. I just like to make sure it's at the right consistency. Want it thick enough so that there's a good coverage. Dip it in again. And the direction that you work in would depend on if you're left-handed or right-handed. Just going to go over that drawing line. I feel like I've got too much water. Wipe off. Sometimes the brushes do let out a bit of extra water as well, even if you don't push that button, the activation button. Thunderbirds are a go. Right, one up in the corner. Yeah, I think one coat will do it. for the big brush and those clips. And now I'm going to grab my tiny Derwent brush and do the necklace. So make sure that your brush is squeezed out from any prior color. So this is size 1 in the Derwent, and I'm happy with how the water is sitting in my paint. So I'm just going to dip it in and go for it. Yes, tiny, tiny dots. The other reason why I'm using it is because I couldn't think of anything worse than going in with the pencil. I'm like, no, that's enough detail for me. No. I am actually just going to add a tiny bit of water. Now I've chosen a very tiny brush, number 1, because tiny details. Number 2, I still just want to try and maintain some kind of structure of each individual bead. I'm trying to avoid it looking blobby if I can. I mean, I'm not going to be perfect at it, but I'm going to try. These ones are a bit easier because they're spaced out, so you can really fill up that space. She's looking very gold, isn't she? I like it. That teal background though. I'm keen for that. then let's just go around. Woohoo. Steady. Lol. Nearly lost it. Hilarious. Oh, splodge. It's a big splodge right there. Oh well. Right. There we go, gang. She's complete. All we have left to do is the background. Now, if you actually like how the ivory is sitting against all the colors, you could leave it if you like. I will add teal. I'm probably going to do a border. So we've just got the nice ivory section still remaining. And because of the way she's drawn, she does have a bit of a symmetrical structure at the base that we can work with for a border. So I think that's going to be fitting. So I hope that you have enjoyed your time with me today. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you in the next tutorial, part 4, next time. Have a great day. Bye.